We'll see.
Just wanted to let you know.
Certainly, we'll see.
Yeah. I'll be the bodyguard still, clearing the camera.
Oh, okay. It was only that one new. Well, whatever. Good morning once again. We're set to begin with head coach Mark Few from Gonzaga. Right now, the Gonzaga locker room is open with reserves, student athletes, and in the breakout rooms, the Gonzaga starters are there. Coach Few will join us for a little bit more than 20 minutes today. After 10 minutes, the Gonzaga student athletes will join us here in the main interview room as well. The locker room will be open until 11:50. If you're joining us here in the main interview room, we remind you to please silence your cell phone. Please refrain from any flash photography. Also, no video recording devices of any kind. That includes handheld cameras, mini cameras, and mobile phones. Just a reminder, throughout the duration of the Final Four, no going live on social media with video of any kind. Just a reminder throughout the entire Final Four and throughout the entire University of Phoenix Stadium. If you need satellite info, I have it, or the gentlemen and ladies from Hammond Communications have it as well. In just a moment, we'll have Mark Few, the head coach of Gonzaga. He'll join us for 20-some minutes. Coach? Good to see you. So we're starting a little early, but I'm sure we'll fill in a little bit. And would you like to make an opening statement, or do you want to take questions first? If you have a question for Coach Few, please raise your hand. We'll send a microphone in your direction. We're looking for the first question for Coach Few at this time. We have one right here in the center section, left of the aisle.
Hi, Coach. Fabian Erdai, Cronkite News, AZPBS. I have a question. Just how big of an impact has Donny Daniels had on you and this program, and also with guards like Nigel Williams-Goss and Jordan Matthews?
Donnie's had a enormous impact on our program. I mean, I believe this is Donnie's 5th Final Four, I think, which is amazing, on 3 different staffs. I don't know if anybody has ever been able to do that in the history of college ball, and just the experiences he's accrued, the people that he's worked for, the knowledge that he's, came about over all the years in the business has been incredibly valuable for not just on the floor stuff, but just how to operate as a program and recruiting, obviously, and then he's just a real positive person, and it's great to have positivity sometimes. I have a tendency to not be the most positive person ever been around during the season, so it's nice to have Donnie.
Let's go all the way to the left on the right side of the aisle. This will be for Jim.
Yes, thank you. Jim Roop with Westwood One News. Coach, first time on this big stage.
Yep.
There's on-court challenges, there are off-the-court challenges. What is the biggest challenge for you as a coach bringing players here for the first time?
I think I believe just finding the right balance. I don't think you should, for someone who's 18 to 22 years old and they're doing it for the first time, maybe the last time in a lot of instances, haul them 50 miles away and keep them sequestered in a hotel. I think they should be able to enjoy this. I think they should be able to experience it. It's an amazing event, and then just from our perspective, the Gonzaga perspective, I mean, I can't tell you the outpouring and the support and all the people that are coming from all over the world, literally all over the world, to come watch us this weekend, and a lot of former players and colleagues of mine and college roommates, and these are people that I want my players to see and shake their hand and talk to them a little bit, and because it's part of the whole journey. Then that being said, then you got the process. We'll walk off this podium here and pretty much be done with the media, and then we get a great session of getting shots and things up on the actual rims where we get to play tomorrow, and then we'll go to a private practice and really finish off the game plan. And they've been fantastic all year about just laser focus.
Let's go over to the right side, Coach, in the middle of the section.
Coach Mark Dofer with WYFF in Greenville, South Carolina. How much do you know about the Gamecocks? I mean, you guys play on the West Coast, they play on the East Coast. I've watched a lot of your games, but it's usually late at night on the East. How familiar are you
At this
with them?
point?
Yes.
I mean, I think we know a lot. I mean, we started Sunday, at 1 o'clock our time or something, and my staff's unbelievable about accruing information, both analytically and just, with our eyes and with our feel, and I kind of let them handle the analytical side of things, and then I just kind of focus in on the things that I see and the things I feel, and so we've studied them a lot, and just very impressed with their. Obviously, everybody knows their defense, but also impressed. They've offensively they've been very good in the tournament, and a little bit like Xavier in that way. We faced a really, really hot team in Xavier. We faced a really hot player and blew it. Thornwell is a really, really hot player right now, and as well as the other guys seem to be playing as good as they've played all year together, and then just the intensity, the physicality, the athleticism that they bring on the glass is a real concern.
Left side toward the front.
Chris Cadeau, Full Court Press. For your institution and your fan base, how good does it feel to provide an experience like this for them?
It's just been unbelievable. I don't know that I could put it into words. We had a great little get-together last night with, former players, former coaches, all the colleagues that I've met 28 years in the business, just kind of, hunting and pecking and doing what you do, as a college assistant and then a college head coach. You get a lot of help along the way and meet a lot of great people. So the fact that I still am amazed just how emotionally it hits you when you see all these people rallying into town from all over the place, wishing you well, but also just coming in to see your team and support them. It's pretty powerful emotion.
Just to the left of the aisle in the back, Jerry.
Hi, Mark. Jerry Palma, CBS.
Hey.
There's some news this week that Wichita State is exploring a move to the American Conference. Did you guys ever have an opportunity to change conferences? And do you think that you would have been able to build the same level of success? Would it have been easier or harder if you had been in a different conference?
I think the last part of that question is just speculative, I mean, I don't know how you could possibly. I know the current product, for lack of a better term, that we put out there on the floor could match up in any conference very favorably. Not to say that we'd win every game, but we could certainly compete in any conference and do very, very well for ourselves with this team and many of the teams that I've had. So how that would play out, I don't know. With your seating and all that, with the analytics, it's a tough call. But I do know we'd be fine. Just with on the court stuff. As far as talk, I know there was talks. There has been talks. I think they've mostly been informal, and it's above my intellectual grade and status grade or whatever. I'm just kind of the old ball coach.
Next one's to the left of the aisle toward the front. Dan.
Dan Wolkin, USA Today. Mark, obviously you guys are as aggressive as you can be, non-conference scheduling every single year. Over the years, how have you sort of tried to target your approach and what games to actually take on, how many times to go on the road, and have you hit a sweet spot with where you are in scheduling?
Yeah, definitely. Again, it's obviously with the advent, over the last 10, 12 years, the information you get from the Jerry Palms and Lenardis and just the analytics that are available to kind of assess your team. I've also been one of those guys that, once the brackets came up and the players got excited and ran over to go call all their moms and dads, I would always listen to, what the chairman of the committee said after the brackets, that little 5-minute talk about why this guy got in and why these guys didn't and why, and we really honed in on that. our scheduling's been great for probably the last 10 or 12 years, and if anything, we've had to kind of be very, very protective of it. We've had, almost any home game that we've ever won, and not all of them, obviously. There's a couple that we haven't, but we've had some great home-and-home series with some really strong teams. So it's a balance of, we won a couple home-and-homes, which are harder and harder to get in this day and age, but we've also, then ventured out to the neutral deals that are readily available thanks to ESPN and CBS and all the events, and then certainly the Maui. Next year we'll win the PK 80, which is just as good a tournament as probably is it. Portland, the Phil Knight Nike. It's probably the greatest tournament ever created, with what they're trying to pull off. So we're not lacking for that. If anything, sometimes we got to back it off a little bit, but not beat ourselves up too bad.
Just to the right of the aisle, to the gentleman from Philadelphia.
Mark Dick Girardi, Philadelphia Daily News. All the analytics suggest this is the best defense you've ever had. Would you, A, agree with that, and if so, why?
I would agree with that, and just for several reasons. The rim protection that we have this year is different than anything we've been able to put out there. We got the bulk, the strength, size of Karnowski, which allows us to not have to double team. So then we're not forced into rotations. But then we also can combine that with the athleticism, the shot blocking of Zach Collins. Killian Tilly helps. And then I'm telling you, the guy that probably makes the biggest difference for us is Jonathan Williams, the third. He can guard 1 through 5. Very comfortable with him guarding the best perimeter on the team or the best forward on the team. And then the other night we got in massive foul trouble. We had to move him to the 5, and he was the middle of our zone and also, kind of guarding the other center the other night. So, it just to have somebody that versatile and you're so comfortable with, you can switch ball screens and do things like that, makes a heck of a difference.
Continuing with questions for Coach Few, we'll go right up front.
Hi, Coach. Steve Futterman from CBS News. I apologize if you were asked this just before I got in, but I wanted to know what it means to you. We've seen Gonzaga get close. We have followed this program. I think the country is really enthralled by a school that is not part of the major conferences to make it this far. What does it mean for you to finally get to this point?
Well, I think I've been and a little bit surprised and shocked just emotionally how much I've been moved because of, like I said earlier, just the amount of former players and colleagues and even friends of mine that date back 25 years ago that are coming in from all over basically the world for this weekend to watch us. It's crazy. It's crazy, and it's really cool, and so it's more about just the joy you feel when you see those former players, how proud they are of the school they went to, the program they played for. Obviously seeing how happy my guys are and just the looks on their faces for all the – I had no idea some of the stuff goes on for these Final Four teams. The way they take care of you here is just mind-boggling, and they truly make it a lifetime experience. So it's been great stuff.
We'd like to welcome at this time student-athletes from Gonzaga. Josh Perkins and Jordan Matthews are joining us. Jordan's on the way. Josh is here right now, and Jordan's on the way. Continuing with questions for Josh or Coach Few, let's go up front to Dana.
Dana O'Neill with ESPN. Mark, we were just talking to your guys about the survival camp you did in the preseason, and what did you learn?
I don't know if it's survival.
Well, that's what they call it.
I know.
You would probably call it camping, right?
I don't even know if I'd call it camping. I'd call it like soft, soft travel in the wilderness, something along those lines.
That's what I wanted to ask you. What did you learn about your guys?
How soft they were, and Dana, it concerned me greatly at that time. I had no idea we were going to end up here. Based on my observations I would have put a lot of money that it wouldn't have happened. But, just amazing that they would be so frightful of being out, in God's country, in dark where there's absolutely nothing that could do anything to them, but yet they have no issues wandering the streets of South Chicago or Los Angeles or, at night. Yeah, crazy. Got guys throwing up because they, aren't eating, they're eating a little camp food and stuff, and yeah.
Josh, did you want to comment on that as well?
Yeah, I know the guys went on a little night walk, and I was one of the guys who stuck back in the tent, and I was real comfortable doing that. But he's like he said, I'm pretty more comfortable walking in the streets than I would be out there in the wilderness.
The night walk was basically maybe 25 yards down to the lake, and it's being described as this epic journey to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. It was not that, and it was on a nice kind of groomed dirt trail. So yeah, not my usual outdoor experience, but it helped. I'm telling you, Dana, it was unbelievable how. The unwritten story for this team is just how they assimilated so quickly with so many new faces, and that little 48 hours really truly helped us.
Next question's for Pat here on the right side.
Pat Forty from Yahoo Sports. That was kind of my question, Mark. Was this designed as a bonding experience? How'd you come up with the idea of it?
Yeah, I mean, I have always been one of those guys that our chemistry always seems to just magically come together at Gonzaga, and we just kind of do it our own way. So I always fought it, these little, get-together, team building, all this stuff that's organized. But our strength and conditioning coach, Travis Knight, has a wonderful feel for the guys, and he's really studied, just team and growth and leadership and servant leadership and things like that. And we also got some help from former Delta Force guy who's really good at kind of pulling things out of the guys and challenging them, and it was big. It truly was big because it set us on the path that we needed to go on. We had all these guys coming from different entities with maybe different ideas and different needs, and it kind of unified these guys. But Josh probably needs to speak to it more than I do, and really pulled them together.
Josh, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just think the overall message was the trip was the sacrifice. And there was a lot of guys, like Coach said, was coming in from different backgrounds. Being the best player in their team, from team coming back. And I just knew we had a lot of good pieces. And if we bought in for the same prize and gave it up for each other, the sky was the limit. And we're speaking that to right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's one of the Zag Campout MVPs. Boy, was this guy a warrior out in the woods.
Jordan, do you want to comment on your campout experience?
I will. Yeah, I'm a big-time camper. Contrary to what Coach says, I'm real big on it. I did throw up out there with some peanut butter and jelly, but other than that, I was fine. The mosquitoes weren't that bad, but once we realized we were out there with headlamps and stuff, I wanted to get back to LA really bad. But it was nice. It was good to be out there.
Next question's up front on the right side.
Jermaine Franklin with TSN. Coach Few, can you talk about the philosophy of Gonzaga with the players, and more specifically, if the opportunity to redshirt is there, you're not afraid to do it. You build players up and prepare them for their future and the future with the Zags as well.
Yeah, no, we've had a great run of redshirting some of our players, probably more so in the early stages of the program. But I think it's all about communication, and it's all about kind of the culture and believing in the culture. It's a culture of player development, and if you find somebody, I think like in Jordan's case, it just loves to work, man. He just loves to put his time in, and he just wants a plan, and he wants some people that'll work with him. Then it's a great. That's what fits at Gonzaga. Nigel's very much like that. Jonathan Williams is very much like that. And so, when we find these guys and they find us, it just works perfectly. But the communication line has to be open. The expectations got to all line up with what the player wants and what we feel like where they're at within the program. And then you make those decisions on redshirt. And I mean, Kelly Olynyk made probably one of the most mature decisions I've ever seen in my whole career, was to get halfway through and say, hey, you know, I gotta flip a switch here or something. I don't like where I'm going. I gotta kind of reinvent myself, and he did it. And it was him and Travis Knight and, you know, the assistants and all of us kind of getting together and figuring it out.
What are some of the specifics you see from the players?
Let's get the microphone over so you can follow up.
I apologize. What are some of the specifics in general do you see from the players that take that redshirt year and then they come back? What are they like on the floor?
They're usually a more mature player. Physically, they usually do a great job, again, with our strength and conditioning coach Trav, changing their bodies. You know, Kelly really changed his body. You know, a lot of the freshmen that come in redshirt change their bodies. And I think sometimes it just gives you, in Kelly's case, he was able to just sit and kind of watch things from a coaching perspective, you know, and I had him charting things, you know, and he'd start getting pissed at the players for not blocking out, you know, and not running the right set or defensive rotation, you know, and I knew when you started seeing that, you're like, okay, we're getting somewhere, because, you know, KO, this is what we used to get on you about, you know, and he's one of the smartest players I've ever coached. So just that, I mean, it takes on kind of its own growth mode with each individual player.
We'll go to the left side. Jim?
Josh and Jordan, I don't mean to suggest that Gonzaga's a small town, but there's a great scene in the film Hoosiers when the small team from Hickory comes into this big arena for the state championship, and they're in awe of the arena. And then the coach, played by Gene Hackman, stops them, and they measure the height of the basket and a few other things to remind them that it's just the same as their gym in Hickory when it comes to the floor. When you guys got here, was there any moment of awe like that, or are you able, for being here for the first time, to really focus on the task at hand?
We'll ask Jordan to take that first, then Josh, and then Coach, if you want to add something too.
I think that's who we've been all year. We've never really been in awe. We've relished moments and we really enjoyed them, but we've always taken the task at hand and focused on our details, because we do know the rim is still 10 foot high, or it should be. So we had the ability to just lock in and focus on what we need to focus on and let the rest take care of itself. Now, it's big out there. It's going to be a lot of fun, but South Carolina, North Carolina, and Oregon all have to play in the same venue. So as long as we focus on our details and what Gonzaga is going to do, we've always been fine.
Josh, same question.
Yeah, Jordan took the answer right out of my mouth, to be real honest, you know, but we just got to focus on things that we can control, and that's coming to play every day. I mean, we soaking it in for sure, but just we got to take it one game at a time and be ready to go.
Coach, you have anything to add there?
Yeah, I would just say that I don't think any teams are used to playing in domes like this. I mean, Carolina got, 2 games last year, 365 days ago. But, we bounce around and play in, big neutral situations. We were in the Staples this year, and so the guys are used to the bigger arenas like that. I guess my bigger question is, which one of our guys is playing the assistant coach? Hopefully that's not the impression of Tommy Lloyd or B. Mike or something. Remember that guy? Yeah. Shooter, was that his name? Shooter was a good guy, man. I got a warm spot for guys like Shooter.
To the back of the room on the right side.
Mark, Adam Kilgore from the Washington Post. How difficult of a player is Shem to officiate for referees, and how big of an impact can that have on your games depending on how it's going?
Yeah, I don't. You'd have to ask probably the officials. I have had them at times during his career come by and say, yeah, I mean it's hard. He's a hard one to officiate. That what I will say is he, it hasn't just been this last year or so, where we've seen so much. I think such a better job by the officials refereeing vertical contest. He's been great at that literally his whole career. I mean, it almost like, I don't want to say he invented it, but I mean, he was just so adept. These guys can say in practice, it used to be just standing there and they'd run into him and just fall down, on their finishes. And then, when they started saying, no, he's got to jump, especially in the charge circle, he's really, really good at it. And I think, he's fundamental. I think the other thing that he's very underrated for is his ball screen coverage. His feet are a lot better than people realize. We've even switched ball screens with him late, and he's very intuitive and got a great feel. And I think, the first time you hit him, when I watch games, it's the first time when that guy comes down the floor, either on offense or on defense, and feels him and hits him. It's usually a kind of eye-opener for that particular player.
2 more for Gonzaga. Let's go all the way to the left side.
Coach Jordan Ham, Sports 360 AZ. Grand Canyon University here in Phoenix has said that they want to build their program in the way that Gonzaga has over the years. What does that say about your program, and what advice would you have for them?
Well, first of all, they don't need any advice. I mean, they got the best leadership, 2 guys I've ever been around. I got Jerry Colangelo, who is a friend of mine and just I admire at the utmost level. I've been able to luckily be a part of USA Basketball for the last 5-7 years, and I mean, what an impressive man and just reputation and leader that he is. And then also I've also had the opportunity to be around Dan Marley with some USA Basketball stuff, and then just out on the road recruiting, and actually saw him last night, and they got the perfect guy for running it. To me, they are a little bit kind of a sleeping giant with what they got going there, and the thing that I see is they have that growth mindset that Gonzaga, has had during this whole run, and so I definitely on the rise.
Final question for Gonzaga, all the way in the back. Ben?
Ben Bulch, Los Angeles Times. Coach, when did you know that you had such a fearless shot maker in Jordan, and what do you think goes into that allows him to be that way?
I call him Big Shot Bob, and I can't remember, was that Bob, who was that guy in the NBA Finals that was on fire? Yeah, Robert Horry. Unbelievable. I always call him Big Shot Bob, and I think he always looks at me like, what the heck are you talking about, man? Yeah, I get that look a lot from him, by the way. Yeah, he's not afraid. He's not afraid of the moment. The great thing I love about Jordan is he's got a very, very short memory. And so he's not one of those guys that if he misses 2 or 3 or 4 jumpers, he's mumbling to himself, and that affects the rest of his game. I mean, we've had games this year, I think, where he hasn't maybe started out that great, and then, as the moment got bigger and it was time, I mean, he just stepped up and hit the big shot. So I don't know if that, from his mom or being a coach's kid or just he's a worker. And he's put his time in, and I always say that to all our guys. If you put your time in, then, you're comfortable with missing big shots because you've done everything you can to ensure your success, and you just live with the results. And the other day, I was going down the stretch against West Virginia, and I had to turn and get on the assistants. We got to get Jordan back in there. I know he's going to make a big shot. And so we got him in there, and he did. So he deserves all the credit.
We want to thank Jordan and Josh and Coach Few for joining us here in the main interview room. The Gonzaga locker room is now closed, and Gonzaga is going to head out to the floor for open practice next. Good luck tomorrow night, fellas. Thank you, guys. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, the Oregon media availability begins at 12:15 with an open locker room and starting student athletes in breakout sessions. We'll have the head coach Dana Altman right here in the main interview room from 12:30 to 12:50, and student athletes from Oregon will join Coach Altman and all of us here in the main interview room from